LHN Earth Science Tools. I'm doing a rain gauge by Taylor Elias. Rain gauge. A rain gauge is a meteorological instrument to measure the precipitating rate in a given amount of time per unit area. A rain gauge basically collects water falling on it and records a change over time in the rainfall depth, which is usually expressed in millimeters or even inches. The origin of a rain gauge goes way back to the ancient Greeks' times, and that started back in 400 to 500 BC, so even before Christ. In India, they used it to collect the amount of taxes rates that they wanted to use, and then in 1441, shigugi was invented during the reign of Sejong, Great of Joseon dynasty of Korea. And then after that, in 1662, Christopher Wren and Robert Hooke both helped to create the tipping bucket rain gauge. The function of a rain gauge is quite simple. Meteorologists use it to determine the rainfall in a specific area. The most common type of rain gauge is a cylinder, and it's calculated in millimeters or even in inches. To make sure that you get the most precise reading, make sure that you keep it away from trees, houses, or any outbuildings. And if you do have trees, houses, or any of those type of things, make sure that you have it twice as far as the height of that specific structure. I have talked about the design of it. It is a cylinder, or it can be a tipping bucket rain gauge. Like I said, a teeter-totter or a cylinder, and there's a cylinder inside of it, and the rain just goes inside of it. But a bigger concern with the design is there has been research that has shown that a conventionally shaped rain gauge interferes with the airflow around it, and that the flow accelerates. This causes turbulence to increase over the top of the funnel and reduces the amount of precipitation caught by the rain gauge, which means that if you have it too small, then you're not going to be able to fit as much rain as you want for that precise location. And if you have it too big, you're going to be calculating way too much rain in that area, so you want to make sure that it's around 0.5 inches, so a half an inch. My fun fact on why it was created. It was mainly created because it was to monitor droughts or even hazardous weather. Its biggest important uses, it's used worldwide everywhere for agriculture and farmers. They rely on it to know when it's going to rain on their crops and to know when they should plant their crops and if their crops are at risk of dying. So, and it can show over a period of weeks or even months.